I can't afford to start a home care agency. That's actually what most people think, and most people are absolutely wrong in that respect. Click subscribe below to gain access to all of the content I'll be posting. So there are 3 common routes to starting a home care agency. Number 1 is the franchise model. Number 2 is purchasing an existing agency. And number 3 is starting your very own privately owned agency, which is what I recommend. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages to each, and you can decide, what might be the better path for you. So we're going to start with the franchise model. So some of the advantages to having a franchise are you have a support system in place, you have business setup assistance, and you also have brand awareness. Now the brand awareness really depends on the size of your franchise and what type of exposure they have in your specific area. So you want to make sure you really do your research on that. So some of the disadvantages of a franchise are cost. So you're looking at, on average, about a $30,000 buy-in fee just to use the name for your very own company. And in addition to that, there's ongoing royalty fees. And those can be anywhere around 3 to 4% in that range. You also have an advertising cost, which is about 3 to 4% of your revenue ongoing forever, the same as the royalty fees. You also have renewal fees depending on your franchise. And another major issue with franchises is territory restrictions. So this means you actually have to purchase another territory if you want to expand. And that's if the territory next to you is available. That's the problem with the larger franchises, is that they've sold a lot of their territories, so it really limits your expansion. So the next option is to purchase an existing agency. So this is usually only done by, large national players looking to expand through acquisition. So some of the advantages to purchasing an agency are you don't have a startup phase because it's already up and operational. There's a potential there for instant income depending on the health of the agency that you're buying. There's already brand awareness set up and in place. You get insight from the seller. They're going to know kind of the ins and outs and what's working in their area. And it's also probably a distressed business if they're wanting to sell. So the advantage to that is that it could be easy to turn around and, turn it into a healthy company that's going to basically just really increase the value of that agency. So some of the disadvantages are distressed business. So I know I put that one on the advantages tab and the disadvantages tab. So the disadvantages are that you don't know, what type of issues that agency has had. If they were working with a hospital in your area and unfortunately they gave themselves a really bad name in that hospital and they're not willing to work with anybody, it doesn't matter who's going to come in. They may not work with that agency name at all. So another disadvantage is you're inheriting the existing reviews and awareness. So that kind of goes along with the distressed business. If there was problems before, you're really inheriting all those problems. And another disadvantage is the cost. So obviously the price point to get into buying an existing agency is, tenfold what it's going to be to start up your own agency. So the last option, and the one I highly recommend, is the privately owned agency. And that's the agency that I started up and that I still run today. So I really want to go through the advantages. So advantages are increased profits because you're not paying those huge royalty fees to the franchises, and you're not paying the advertising costs, you're not paying the renewal fees. This is your agency, you can operate it as you want. And another benefit is there's no territory restrictions. So as mentioned with the franchises, you can expand wherever you want. There is no territory. You do not have to buy new territories when you're trying to expand. You don't have to worry about somebody else having the territory next to you, north, south, east, west. It just doesn't matter. So Another one is brand creation. It's really fun and exciting to be able to create your own brand, especially if you've never started a company before. It's really great and inspiring to build something on your own. And another advantage is the startup costs are very low in comparison to any of the other options. To purchasing an agency, you have the 30,000 franchise tag. There's a lot of costs involved, and if you were to take that money and put it towards your own agency, you'd be able to have a huge marketing budget starting out. And that's if you have the funds. You don't necessarily need that kind of cash to start up. So another advantage would be the future possibilities for expansion and scaling. So you really have no limitation, not just with territory restrictions, but you have no limitation nationally on where you can go, even internationally, if you, depending on, how big you want to scale, right? So it's just really, there's no restrictions at all with a privately owned agency. So some of the disadvantages are there's a lack of support. And there's also systems and procedures. You don't have those in place, so you have to kind of build those yourself as you go along. But it's going to add a lot more value for your agency in the future. And another disadvantage is there's little or no brand awareness. So that's something that you really have to build. When you first start an agency and you come up with a new name, new branding, new everything, you have to market that. Nobody's familiar with your brand, so you have to get that brand out there. So that's some of the good and bad with each different option. So what I want you to do is I want you to comment below on what option do you think would be the best fit for you. And also, if you happen to have a support system in place for a privately owned agency, would you choose that route? So give me a like and subscribe if you want to keep receiving content, or feel free to give a share to friends and family. And also you can feel free to click the link below to learn more about our program. Thanks everyone.